Chapter 10. Dribble! I'll never forget Friday, May 10th. It's the most important day of my life. It didn't start out that way. I started out ordinary. I went to school. I ate my lunch. I had gym, that means PE. And then I walked home from school with Jimmy Fargo. We planned to meet at our special rock in the park as soon as we changed our clothes. In the elevator, I told Henry I was glad summer was coming. Henry said he was too. When I got out of my floor, I walked down the hall and opened the door to my apartment. I took off my jacket and hung it at the closet. I put my books on the hall table next to my mother's purse. I went straight to my room to change my clothes and check Dribble. The first thing I noticed was my chain latch. It was unhooked. My bedroom door was open, and there was a chair smack in the middle of my doorway. I nearly tumbled over it. I ran to my dresser to check Dribble. He wasn't there. My bowl with the rocks and water was there, but Dribble was gone. I got really scared. I thought, maybe he died while I was at school and I didn't know about it. So I rushed into the kitchen and hollered, "Mom, where's Dribble?" My mother was baking something. My brother sat at the kitchen table, banging pots and pans together. "Be quiet!" I yelled at Fudge. "I can't hear anything with all that noise." "What'd you say, Peter?" My mother asked me. "I said, I can't find Dribble. Where is he?" "You mean he's not in his bowl?" My mother asked. I shook my head. "Oh, dear," my mother said. "I hope he's not crawling around somewhere. You know, I don't like the way he smells. I'm going to have a look in the bedrooms. You check in here, Peter." My mother hurried off. I looked at my brother. He was smiling. "Fudge? Do you know where Dribble is?" I asked calmly. Fudge kept smiling. "Did you take him?" "Did you, Fudge?" I asked, not so calmly. Fudge giggled and covered his mouth with his hands. I yelled, "Where is he? What'd you do with my turtle?" No answer from Fudge. He banged his pots and pans together again. I yanked the pots out of his hand. I tried to speak softly. "Now, tell me where Dribble is. Just tell me where my turtle is. I won't be mad if you tell me. Come on, Fudge, please." Fudge looked at me. "In tummy," he said. "What do you mean in tummy?" I asked, narrowing my eyes. "Dribble in tummy," he repeated. "What tummy? What tummy?" I shouted at my brother. "This one," Fudge said, rubbing his stomach. "Dribble in this tummy, right here." I decided to go along with his game. "Okay. How did he get in there, Fudge?" I asked. Fudge stood up. He jumped up and down and sang out, "I ate him, ate him, ate him." Then he ran out of the room. My mother came back into the kitchen. "Well, I just can't find him anywhere," she said. I looked in all the dresser drawers and the bathroom cabinets and the shower and tub. "Mom," I said, shaking my head, "how could you?" "How could I what, Peter?" Mom asked. "How could you let him do it?" "Let who do what, Peter?" Mom asked. "Let Dribble eat Fudge!" I screamed. My mother started to mix whatever she was baking. "Don't be silly, Peter," she said. "Dribble is a turtle." "He ate Fudge!" I insisted. "Peter Warren Hatcher, stop saying that!" Mom hollered. "Well, ask him. Go ahead and ask him," I told her. Fudge was standing in the kitchen doorway with a big grin on his face. My mother picked him up and patted his head. "Fudgy," she said to him, "tell Mommy where brother's turtle is." "In tummy," Fudge said. "What tummy?" Mom asked. "Mine." Fudge laughed. My mother put Fudge down on the kitchen counter where he couldn't get away from her. "Oh, you're fooling Mommy, right?" "No fool," Fudge said. My mother turned very pale. "You really ate your brother's turtle?" Big smile from Fudge. "You mean that you put him in your mouth and chewed him up like this?" Mom made believe she was chewing. "No," Fudge said. A smile of relief crossed my mother's face. "Of course he didn't. It's just a joke." She put Fudge down on the floor and gave him a look. Fudge babbled, no chew, gulp, gulp, all gone turtle, down Fudge's tummy." Me and my mother stared at Fudge. "You did it," my mom said. "Did so?" "No!" Mom shouted. "Yes!" Fudge shouted back. "Yes?" Mom asked weakly, holding onto a chair with both hands. "Yes." Fudge beamed. Oh, he's so proud of himself. My mother moaned and picked up my brother. "Oh, no, my angel, my precious little baby. Oh, no." Oh, this has got to really burn Peter up. My mother didn't stop to think about My turtle? She didn't even give Dribble a thought. She didn't even stop to wonder how my turtle liked being swallowed by my brother. She ran to the phone with Fudge tucked under one arm. I followed. Mom dialed the operator and cried, "Oh, help! This is an emergency! My baby ate a turtle! Stop that laughing!" My mother told the operator. "Send an ambulance right away! 25 West 68th Street!" Mom hung up. She didn't look too well. Tears were running down her face. She put Fudge down on the floor. I couldn't understand why she was so upset. Fudge seemed just fine. "Help me, Peter," Mom begged. "Give me blankets." Peter, poor guy. I ran into my brother's room. I grabbed 2 blankets from Fudge's bed. He was following me around with that silly grin on his face. I felt like giving him a pinch. How could he stand there looking so happy when he had my turtle inside him? I delivered the blankets to my mother. She wrapped Fudge up in them and ran to the front door. I followed and grabbed her purse from the hall table. I figured she'd be glad I thought of that. Good boy, Peter. Out in the hall, I pressed the elevator buzzer. We had to wait a few minutes. Mom paced up and down in front of the elevator. Fudge was cradled in her arms. He suckled his fingers and made that slurping noise I like. But all I could think of was Dribble. Finally, the elevator got to our floor. There were 3 people in it besides Henry. "This is an emergency!" Mom wailed. "The ambulance is waiting downstairs. Please hurry." "Yes, Mrs. Hatcher, of course," Henry said. "I'll run her down just as fast as I can. No other stops." Someone poked me in the back. I turned around. It was Mrs. Rudder. "What's the matter?" she whispered. "It's my brother," I whispered back. "He ate my turtle." Mrs. Rudder whispered that to the man next to her, and he whispered it to the lady next to him, who whispered it to Henry. I faced front and pretended I didn't hear anything. My mother turned around with Fudge in her arms and said, "That is not funny. Not funny at all." But Fudge said, "Funny, funny, funny, Fudgy." Everyone laughed. Everybody except my mother. Does that mean Peter laughed? The elevator door opened. 2 men, dressed in white, were standing with the stretcher. "Is this the baby?" one of them asked. Yes, it is," Mom sobbed. "Don't worry, lady. We'll be to the hospital in no time." "Come on, Peter," my mother said, tugging at my sleeve. "We're going to ride to the ambulance with Fudge." My mother and I climbed in the back of the blue ambulance. I was never in one before. It was neat. I've been to that one at the tech museum. That's it. It was neat. Fudge kneeled on a cot and peered out through the window. He waved at the crowd of people that had gathered on the sidewalk. One of the attendants sat in back with us. The other one was driving. "What seems to be the trouble, lady?" the attendant asked. "This kid looks pretty healthy to me." "He swallowed a turtle," my mother whispered. "He did what?" the attendant asked. "Ate my turtle, that's what," I told him. Oh, God. My mother covered her face with her hanky and started to cry again. "Hey, Joe," the attendant called to the driver. "Make it snappy. This one swallowed a turtle." "That's not funny," my mom insisted. I didn't think so either, considering it was my turtle. We arrived at the back door of the hospital. Fudge was whisked away by 2 nurses. My mother ran after him. "You wait here, young man," another nurse called to me, pointing to a bench. I sat down on the hard wooden bench. I didn't have anything to do. There weren't any books or magazines spread out like when I go to Dr. Cohn's office. So I watched the clock and read all the signs on the walls. I figured I was the emergency section of the hospital. I found out I was in the emergency section of the hospital. After a while, the nurse came back. She gave me some paper and crayons. "Here you go. Be a good boy and draw some pictures. Your mother will be out soon." We're stopping there.